thank you so much, Mr. Vinkesh Gulati, Vice President of FADA, the Federation of Automotive Dealers Association. He's also the partner of United Automobiles. He owns a dealership in the country. Thank you so much, Mr. Gulati, for your time and for joining us on this interaction.
Thanks, Mr. Rajan, for having me.
Yeah. Sure, our pleasure, sir. So as we had indicated, we would like to have your views and insights on the current situation in the auto industry. And across the globe, we are seeing an unprecedented situation never before seen. And we've crossed quite a distance actually since the pandemic originally surfaced. We've also crossed 3 lockdowns. We're already into the 4th lockdown nationwide. And slowly things are opening up, which is a very, very good sign as we have this interaction. To start with, retail sales were at zero, which was an industry first, which has never ever been seen before in the month of April. And with the working capital also getting locked up, dealers have been facing a major cash crunch. What is the current situation at the dealer front? Can you give us an overview of the current scenario at the dealer front, Mr. Gulati?
So yes, you are right. April has been nil for everybody, dealers, manufacturers, and everybody. And this has been the first in anybody's lifetime. So obviously, it had been not a good situation. But slowly and steadily, we are coming on out of that lockdown phase. And all of the green zones are on, and the red and orange zones are also coming up. Some districts have different orders, but most of them are now starting from this lockdown 4 are coming back. So there are some graded approach where they are saying some days some setups are open, some days some. But if we can say surely 75 to 80% setups are on as of today, with some differential controls on the days or something. Obviously, it's too early to comment on what kind of sales we are looking at in May or what is the reaction today. But yes, obviously, whichever dealership is coming out of this lockdown, the first step is to be in contact with our old customers. So getting hold of them who are going to buy a vehicle in Navratra and the Gudi Parva and those marriage season which was there in which is important in North India most. And a lot of them had already bookings with the dealers. So this first week will obviously, or whoever is open 4 days back has already gone into contacting those customers where we had some bookings or even finance papers and discussing on are they interested on the deliveries and trying to deliver whose full payments are there. So obviously things have started due to the some restrictions on the borders of different states, like they are giving that you cannot move from one district to another district or from one state to another state. Some manpower issues, some customer not able to reach, those are things. But we are slowly coming back to normal, and I feel in another week or so, 90-95% dealership would be working fine and will be able to service whatever customer demands are.
That is very, very positive to hear, sir. I mean, especially what we saw in the month of April. I think we've really come a long way, and it's a very, very positive sign. I would put it that way. From FADA's perspective, what efforts have been taken from your side? Voicing the views of the dealers, representing the dealer fraternity to the government and the rest of the industry. Can you throw a little bit of light on that, sir?
So. From the FADA side, we pronounce it as FADA. So from our association side, we have been in touch with our dealers for the past 40, 45 days or 50 days. The lockdown was there. And we had tried to understand the issues, and we had contacted with the SIAM, the manufacturing body, and the government on different issues what we are handling. So there have been a lot of discussions going on, a lot of letters, communication going in between all the stakeholders in the auto industry. And lately, like some positive thing has come with the latest our Minister of MSME giving a speech where he's accepting that dealers should be accepted as an MSME, and he'll work on it and see how fast this can happen. So that was the one priority where we had requested the Prime Minister and written letters to, which we started this MSME thing. If I remember it, the first mail we sent was to Mr. Arun Jaitley, who was then the Finance Minister. So we are following to the various ministries for this to happen, and I feel now is the time that dealers will be considered. So obviously there will be some benefits which MSME get, and once we are in there, we can request for demands what gives a direct benefit to the dealers. On the demand generation fronts, we have already written to the Finance Minister and the Prime Minister, where we had requested that the depreciation benefit which was given last year due to the slowdown should be continued, and it will give some benefit to the companies and a motivation and incentive to them. And additionally, they should include the individual also. So like people like service class or professionals like you, so that if you are buying a vehicle, you also get the depreciation, which will be 15 or 25% depending upon the product, which will be a good support going further. And as you are aware, with this COVID crisis going on and the fear psychosis in the normal customers about moving in a crowded place or going through you can say public transport, metros, I feel this will again be an incentive to them to buy a personal vehicle, a two-wheeler or a four-wheeler, whatever they can afford, and help themselves with this incentive. So obviously depreciation was one, and additional to that, there are one thing which is way long happening, like auto industry has the highest GST what we pay, and if you uh, correlate everything, the GST and the cess, practically 40 to 50% of the cost of the vehicle is paid as taxes to the government. And if you correlate the road tax and the insurance and GST on the insurance, all put together, the original vehicle price is just 35 to 40%, which gap of the taxes are huge. So we had requested that the GST reduction should happen. If they are not able to do it for a long term, so at least for this year, a medium term could be done so that it should give the incentive. And the third or fourth big thing, which is in the rounds of the discussion, and our minister, same minister, Mr. Nitin Gadkari, MORTH, has already commented, and I'm expecting that something will happen in the scrappage policy also. So all these four things, FADA has been pursuing various ministry and the Prime Minister to get it done. And we are hopeful, at least MSME and scrappage, we are seeing with the discussions we are having with the appropriate body, that we'll see some things happening in a month or so inside.
That is again some very, very clear directions, and I mean, going by what you share, the four aspects, it actually looks very, very promising. Just imagine what happens to our industry if all these actually get implemented on the ground level. We will definitely have a very, very strong revival, and that's the potential of our industry as well. So one thing you mentioned was the MSME part, which is probably one of the most important topics right now, especially given the announcements from the Prime Minister and the Finance Minister over the last week. Obviously, there were feedbacks coming from people, voices in the auto industry, that the auto industry has not been really taken into consideration in this stimulus package yet. So beyond considering dealers under the MSME category, what else do you think the government can actually or should do to revive spirits and help out the auto industry?
See, practically what we had requested on that, we are a very capital intensive fraternity, and our major investment is in working capital. So one is our infrastructure cost is huge, so that capex is there, and the second is working capital is huge. So our interest cost of the running a dealership is very high. So if we see, if we have a gross margin of 1 rupees, 85 paisa goes off to all the expenses, which is majority in interest, rent, and salary. So there we had requested, because of the lockdown, the interest cost should be covered by the government. It could be zero or something, whatever support, and the balance coming year for at least for 6 to 9 months horizon, there should be a 4% reduction in the interest cost, whatever. Additionally, whatever RBI has given the benefit for the past 6 to 1 year has not actually seen the respective benefit being passed down from the banks to the ground reality. So it may be the dealers or a small businessman, every place that benefit hasn't been passed, which we are following up and we are requesting. So obviously that will at least minimize the burden of the interest on us, and we'll be able to survive this pandemic what is going. As you are aware, this is a very along with the health pandemic, there is a financial pandemic also for most of them. So maybe there are a lot of OEMs or a lot of manufacturers who are sitting on a uh, big cash funds. They can survive. But think of a normal MSME, normal businessman in this in country where he's off the business for more than 45 days or 50 days, depending upon which zone it is. And that is zero revenue, whereas he has some fixed expenses to pay. So maybe if he has a manpower of 10 or 100, he has to pay them something so they survive. He cannot do it zero, because whenever he opens up, he needs those people back to again be in business. So all those things are important, and the economy in turn is very important, because the kind of problem we are seeing in this current state of migrant labors and then future employment going off. So everything is important. So we have to balance everything. So we were expecting government to give some support specifically to the auto industry, like we have requested in the GST front or maybe the interest front, which and some other small supports we have requested, which were not considered. So obviously the manufacturing body SIAM also has given their I can say, I'll not say it's critical or what, but they have shown their that it's not what they were expected of, and similar as FADA was also expecting, but the same didn't happen. But we are still hopeful that if scrappage policy and MSME comes in, it will at least support us for a small time, and in long run it will be a big thing for us.
Very true, sir. Very true. I think much needed. We can only hope that the government is working on a specific package for the auto industry. And if something like that comes in, as you rightly indicated, MSME, GST, rate cuts, interest waivers, I think these will really help. Another obvious topic for discussion would be the transition from BS4 to BS6. So it's a dubious distinction. I know that the first month of BS6 sale, we've all not really clocked anything officially. So what is the status with respect to the BS4 vehicles across different segments, right from two-wheelers, passenger cars, and commercial vehicles? What is the stock of BS4 vehicles right now? What is the plan to exhaust these vehicles?
See, we don't have the exact figures as of now. Obviously, all the BS4 vehicles have been retailed already, because that was the last date of 31st March, and then FADA went into Supreme Court and got an extension till 30th April for the registration. So obviously, all those of them have exhausted. The delivery was pending because the Navratri was a good period where all the deliveries were expected. So now the lockdown is open, so we are expecting all the vehicle which has already been registered and invoiced in the customer name, where we have got the bookings or the full payments also, those will be delivered. So there are some small chunk of vehicles which are still pending, which as per Supreme Court is to happen once the lockdown is open. That's all under process. But yes, if I talk about on the BS6 front, April was to be the big month where BS6 would have been there. So except for Maruti and Hyundai or Toyota, all other manufacturers were coming in with the new production of BS6 in March end or April, which they couldn't because of that. So a lot of companies who were launching new models couldn't do because of the lockdown. So yes, the big bang of BS6 launch, which we were expected for Q1 to happen, hasn't happened. No doubt all the companies, OEMs have come up with the BS6 products, and now like their factories are on. So their discussion with the dealers of dispatches have started. So hopefully wherever the BS6 was launched in January, or like Maruti in June 19, Hyundai came up in December, January, Honda also came up in January, February. So there is not an issue, but all the other OEMs, all the other dealers doesn't have those BS6 stock as of now. So they're all waiting. So once the vehicle will come in, then we'll be uh, hopefully retailing them. But obviously, the OEMs have started around a week or 10 days back, and the dealerships are now starting slowly. So that gap would not be much. So maybe in the start a week or so, we'll not have stocks of some products or some manufacturer. but things won't be that wrong till the time we settle in getting the dealership running, customers touching base, and walk-ins happening. We'll get these stocks also. That is what we hope for.
All right, sir. I think on the BS4 front, I think so we are kind of secure right now. That should not be much of an issue, right? The 90 to 95% figure which you mentioned a couple of questions before, that applies to all segments of dealerships, or was that specific to any segment?
No, so wherever the dealerships are opening, everything is opening. It's nothing specific to any. Like tractor was already open around a month back, being an agriculture thing. But obviously the passenger vehicle, two-wheeler or the commercial vehicle, their dealership, they come in one category as per the MHA guidelines or the DM guidelines come. So like I told, so now every DM is giving different guidelines to open up the places. So the guidelines have come. So somewhere state across the dealerships are open. Somewhere, depending upon the red zone and orange zone, things are open. But most of them have started working maybe 6 days a week or 3 days a week. So everybody is now coming on track slowly instead.
Again, positive, very, very positive things to hear from your side. I mean, and a lot of webinars happening, a lot of discussions, panel discussions happening. One aspect which seems to be a common discussion in all these forums is the digital retailing part of it. Now, what is going to happen to sales, vehicle sales typically in the post-COVID era? So everybody, we're aware of social distancing, we're aware of different guidelines, different safety norms and all that. What is your take, Mr. Gulati, on how vehicle sales will happen? What will be the changing buying patterns from customers? What will be the changing selling patterns from OEMs through dealerships? Your take on this entire topic?
See, very frankly, digital is nothing new for us. We were already working on digital since, I feel, around 4 or 5 years back. Since the time the digital, or you can say the mobile boom or smartphone booms happened in India. But obviously, it was just a plan for us. So it was just an additional, you can say, a catalyst to get the leads. So like we would say that a field consultant has to go to field and meet with opinion makers to get a lead. The showroom was another source of getting a lead because the customer walk-in was there. So digital was also one of those where we were getting the leads. That's it. And maybe it was before an information sharing platform. But today, seeing the norms what MHA has and seeing the fear because of this virus happening, the social distancing thing, and then crowd not happening. So I feel now it has become a big thing for everybody now. Not only auto, everybody. So in auto, all the companies have come up with some good platforms where they were already there, but now they have extended their platform to even include that the customer can get the finance formalities done through them, the insurance formality done through them. But obviously, in the end, the dealers are involved. So if any customer actually wants to see a vehicle, he has to go to the showroom, or the dealer will have to send the vehicle. So like till today, you cannot be sure of the red color being seen on the screen. Is it actually the red color you want on the vehicle or not? So maybe your screen RGB or CMYK could be different than actual what the paint is. So like if you say about red, so Asian Paints red or Nerolac red would be different. So that's the same with the cars also. So that way dealers are still involved of showing the vehicle, colors, test drive, physical delivery happening. In India, still there are a lot of places which is not gone digital if I talk about as per the compliances part. So if a vehicle has to be registered, the paperwork has to be done physically. The customer has to sign it. He cannot do digital signature there or sign and send a PDF. That is not still allowed. Even for finance, the set has to be signed. That's some 20 to 100 signature that has to happen. But still, I'll see this is what is the future. And we basically are focusing because this is a low operational cost thing. So your manpower is reduced, and there are less chances of miscommunication happening. So whatever customer is wanting, everything is online, and those are all tried and tested, and some very matured mind has known that. So you are not restrictive to the quality of the sales consultant handling the customer about the what kind of message is going. So that is happening. And plus, as of today, how the smartphone has changed, the customers is also interested in having an interactive 360-degree experience with the vehicle. So with the current process of 3D and VRs, we are able to do that. So obviously, these are things were needed before also, but Indian psyche was, let's go to the dealership, meet with that consultant, do some LOI, have a cup of tea, and then discuss on it. That was the original guideline. Even if we talk about pre-COVID area, the friends also did like this. Even the consultant always said, "Sir, whenever you are crossing, just come for a cup of tea. I'll introduce you to the sales manager." So that was the way we were working before. But today, obviously, with all this, we'll be changing. And pre-COVID, it was most of like a plan B or a marketing MA. But now it is the ticket to survive. So creating new dimension of engagement and everything. And we are all excited that this is the new thing, and it will have the customers mind share more, and we'll be able to convert more faster with less cost.
Right. So do you also see? I know it's very difficult to give specific percentages and numbers. Do you see any specific trend in terms of shift from direct sales percentage to digital sales pre-COVID, post-COVID era? Do you see something of those lines? And also, if I may add, what do you think will be the situation in the commercial vehicle space? Because there, a truck, for instance, is not bought based on its looks. It's bought based on specifications and its capacity. Do you think that there's a little bit easier opportunity to actually do an online sale on the CV space?
So starting with the online sale percentage shifting, see, I see the interaction going towards digital more. So if a customer was coming in his 5 touch points with the dealership, before it was 1 or 2 with digital, now it will be at least 3 or 4 with digital. So I'm not seeing the percentage shift happening from physical to digital. It will be more now be like we say digital. So where the customer will try to get every information regarding finance, insurance, color of the vehicle, feature of the vehicle through digital way. And obviously nowadays, don't forget, WhatsApp is also becoming a big source of digital thing. Like whosoever customer comes in, all the you can say the catalogs are sent through him through WhatsApp. Even the video call is done through WhatsApp, showing him the vehicle features. So those all things have increased post-COVID now. So obviously, if the touch points will reduce physically and it will be shifted digitally. But still in India, I don't feel that you will be able to buy one vehicle digitally 100% without any dealer support. It could happen with some small players like two-wheeler type thing, or maybe some very high players where the customers are, it's such a high ticket that he can just call and send the vehicle home, I'll not come to it. So but those will be very minimal. So those can happen with customers who are your regular customers. So anybody who has bought 4 Scorpios and is buying another 5th Scorpio, so it will not incite him or excite him to come to the dealership and understand what Scorpio is. So maybe he'll call the GM back, yeah, send one more white. That's it. That's what he wants, and it will be done. And if I take it on the CV front, I don't agree. CV is more of a personal relationship based buy. Even if it is the first vehicle with a customer buy, he'll really want to talk to the salesman about the service, or the want to talk on reference. So maybe any new product which come in, which can get some tandem, some importance digitally. But if you talk on the CV front, where most of the players are fleet buyers, similar like what I said in high ticket size, it will happen on phone. Digitally, it will be just checking in the price or seeing what price the dealer is saying, or confirming what features dealers are saying, or what price dealers are saying, is it right on the line or not. So I don't feel the interaction, or you can say conversion, can happen digitally. The finance transfer can happen digitally in the CV front. So CV front more, I feel digital will be less important, because there the fleet owners have a better relationship with the dealers, and it's more of a relationship based buy.
Right, sir. I must admit, a lot of forums, as I indicated earlier, we find a lot of excitement on this digital retail. But I should admit, your view was much more practical and much more balanced, because it's very nice to discuss all these things. But when you actually look at the customer, especially as you indicated, CV buyers, there is a lot of emotion, there's a lot of sentiment involved when they go
Yeah.
for especially their first purchases. And in most cases, they actually take their families to the dealerships, get the key, do a puja done. So I think that's going to take a very long time for things to actually change, in that aspect, right? Looking ahead from here, what do you think will the growth drivers be for vehicle sales across segments? Let's categorize it to two-wheelers, passenger cars, trucks, and off highway and agricultural. What do you think will be the growth drivers, say, for this financial year and the next?
See, all categories would have different growth drivers, but as of now, for the coming at least 3-4 months, I'm not very positive of any growth driver for any category. But yes, only one, what I already told you, the physical distancing part will make people move from Ola Uber for some time. Obviously, they'll go back because the comfort of shared drive on the economy of or whatever benefit they were giving, that will come back once the vaccine is there, which could be 6 months, 1 year, whatever time, or once the you can say the herd immunity grows up. So I'm not sure till what time, but till that time, yes, obviously I'm looking at this social distancing thing to be a growth driver for two-wheeler and the passenger vehicle thing, because of that fear thing, people will avoid moving in public transport and all. But going further, obviously, and one big thing what will help all the categories would be the rural thing what is happening today. So if you see the farmer, the agriculture thing didn't close for even a day in lockdown. So the farming happened, the crops happened, and with the latest support of the order of the FM on opening up of the marketing of farming of the crops, that could be a big game changer. I am not sure if will it happen the same way as informed by our finance minister. But if it does happen, so now the purchasing power of the farmers will grow leap bound. And additionally, if you see it further, there are lakhs and most of the migrant workers are going back to their farms. So any place, the dealership, whichever the category you're talking, tier 2, tier 3 town, will now see a lot of people around them. Obviously, once they are there, so they'll be involved in some earning procedure, or they'll join their farming community, their father or whosoever they have that agricultural land they have, or they'll think of some small entrepreneur, maybe open up a samosa shop. Day before yesterday, I was talking to one of my rural people who have just left. He was thinking of why not I can start home delivery of samosas. So I was a bit zapped. I said, good. So a person going from Delhi to a small village in Allahabad where I have a dealership. So near Allahabad. So it was from India. So he was thinking like that. So they have seen metros growing. They have seen the things happening in metro. So obviously, at least for a month or so, they'll not be in that good shape. But once they settle wherever they are going, they'll think of some small entrepreneur thing where they'll start earning. Obviously, they cannot be there hand to mouth. So I am seeing the rural market coming up well. So obviously, rural market if grows, the first category which benefit will be two-wheeler. The other category will come on the passenger vehicle, and passenger vehicle will be the smaller vehicle or products like Bolero or those products which are more trendy in that rural because of the roads and all. So those are the things. If I talk about CV, the growth can come easily if the infrastructure like government is planning to increase infra spend. If that happens, so obviously CV will grow. And luckily enough, I'll say positivity there, but it's not a good positivity because they were on the CV segment. The customers were on every day like farmers, and in this time they have earned a lot because of the shipment of essential commodities and even shipment of migrant labor, where I've heard people have paid 3,000 to 5,000 for going to 400 kilometers, 600 kilometers loaded on a truck. So obviously they have that money also. So if their earnings are good, I'm not saying 100% of them, so but most of them must have earned a lot in that time. So that, and with, if coupled with the infrastructure push what the government is doing, so that CV segment can also see a small spurt of growth coming in, because CV has seen a last 1 year, 1 or 2 years of degrowth, real major degrowth happening. So maybe that can give that CV segment the push.
Right, sir. One point related to, again, dealers stocking vehicles. Do you see the number of vehicles being stocked at dealerships? Do you see that coming down as a result of this pandemic and this entire impact?
So FADA as an association has been promoting that the dealer stock should not be more than 21 days, where we had said that 15 days should be the physical stock and 7 days should be the transit stock. And obviously, because of the degrowth what we have seen for the past 18 months, a lot of OEMs accepted that, and they were trying to shift to them. Some of the OEMs actually shifted to 21 days stock, but again, this pandemic has come. Seeing the current pandemic, FADA has again gone back to SIAM and all the manufacturers, and now we should think of anyhow controlling the interest cost what dealers have. So what we are suggesting today is 10 days physical stock at the dealership, and maybe 7 to 15 days transit stock with the OEMs, where we are trying to request that they should now shift to regional stockyards because of that. So a dealer has only 10 days of stock, and whenever he needs as a customer, he's able to procure that vehicle in a day or two. So this will help the all India dealers. So seeing the current situation of credit and the liquidity and the cash crunch which is happening, all India dealers, I'm not expecting 15,000 to 20,000 dealers to be able to gather cash to carry stocks. So this is a way where all OEMs can pitch in and support, and by this their stocks are also safe because it's in their books and in their control, and the sales are also there. Because if we expect dealers to now keep stock more than 10 days or 15 days or 20 days, like before 35, 40 days, he'll not have money to do that. So obviously, if he doesn't have that money, the credit is tight, collaterals are needed, the maybe the liquidity at banks are good, but the overall scenario is not as good at ground. So maybe the OEM or the dealers start losing sales. So with control on the sales, this is the best thing what we are discussing on. And we are hopeful that at least some of the OEMs will agree to that, and or else they'll find out some way where they can support the dealer fraternity of reduced interest and managing of in this stock era.
That's a good thing to hear as well, and that's something for the OEMs to actually really put their thoughts together, get in sync with the FADA, and get it done right. Couple more questions from my side, Gulati. One will obviously be on the after sales side. We've not really touched upon today. How do you see the after sales, the aftermarket service, workshops, garages, this entire segment? What changes will they have to be prepared for post COVID?
See, actually, whichever workshop is open, the first week will be a full load time. And the bigger problem would be that working with the MHA guidelines, working with the manufacturer's guideline, and managing that load will be a difficult thing for all the individual workshops, all the authorized workshops. Because if as a workshop has been designed for a 20 vehicle load, and today you are able to get 20, but the time you need for disinfection of vehicle once it comes in, do the service or leave the vehicle for an hour or two, depending on whatever the policy manufacturer has given. Servicing the vehicle, sending again after disinfection, one, the cost goes up. So obviously 2 times disinfection, the cost goes up, and the customer has to pay, because obviously that has to go through it. And then handling the similar load what he was handling before with the same kind of manpower and additional time, because of that, this will become a major issue. But what I'm expecting, this would be the initial hiccup. Once a dealership workshop starts, 15 days, 20 days, this will be a problem. But slowly and steadily, the flow will reduce. because obviously after the 45-50 days the vehicles haven't moved. So everybody who starts the first day, he'll see what he wants for his initial emergency purposes of the house. The second thing, when he starts, then he'll think of what, should I get my vehicle service, because it was standing for 2 months. But going further, his kilometer usage of that vehicle will now go down. So depending upon how, if he's still working from home, so the normal movement of vehicle going to shops, markets will not be there, because still the malls are not open, restaurants are not open. So maybe if he was doing 5,000 a kilometer a month, he'll be doing maybe only 2,000 now. So his coming to workshops will reduce. So automatically the workshop will have to become very efficient and work on reducing costs. So maybe the start month will be okay for them, but going further, people will become a bit miser seeing the current financial situation. Things are happening. So it's a tough situation for the first month, but slowly this will regularize. And one more thing, like customers, it will be a big cost for the customer on the vehicle service now. So maybe if he wants maybe a small headlight to be changed, which is costing bulb is costing 1,500 or maybe 500, he'll have to pay 1,000 rupees on only disinfection and give the vehicle for a full day, with the job was only for maybe 20 minutes, because those protocol has to be followed. You cannot just avoid. So even if he goes outside to a road side mechanic, the risk of getting corona through him will be a bigger problem. So I don't know how customers will adapt to that, but this is the way of the future. Like people are saying, this is the new normal. So I don't know how much time this normal will go, but at least for another 6 months, this will happen at every dealership and at every customer.
Right, sir, and definitely true. I mean, looks sounds very concerning, but I think we are definitely entering a new world post this pandemic. Right. My last question will be more on a medium to long-term outlook for the industry. What do you think are the learnings, the key takeaways, and also the opportunities for the auto industry and specific to dealerships as well from this entire COVID experience over the medium to long term?
See, obviously, we all the dealers have now learned that we have never thought that we'll see the cash crunch, because we are a trading community. Most of them, if you have to see, more of the turnover is trade. So we used to buy vehicles, whatever was earning, we were putting in our stocks, and it was rotating. So this month has come back as a shock to us, that even a month of zero revenue creates such a big problem for such a big business. So small businesses, I agree, the cash crunch should happen, but where a dealership selling even 50 vehicles works in crores actually, because our ticket size is high. But 1 month of zero revenue, and most of the dealers went through the cash crunch. But obviously, we have learned a lot as of now. As per one of the comments of the seniors, cash is now emperor. So obviously, our most of the thing is cash flow, synchronizing, cash forecasting. Digital is the way future, where all the dealers are now investing. Obviously, OEMs are investing, but dealers are creating a niche from them also. So if I'm a Maruti dealer, so Maruti is doing for digital, but maybe local there are 4 dealers, so I have to create something different so that at least customers are come to me. So that is where we are thinking. We had been working on very huge infrastructure, huge fixed cost, because the rotation was there, we were able to meet them. But now we'll have to think of how we can work on frugal infrastructure and work with it. Uh, Obviously, in all those 5-10 years, we have grown. So we talk of after 2008-9, we are regularly growing at 10-15%. I don't have the exact figure, but auto dealership or sales have been growing. So our ways of working has become very, very extravagant, and all that. We'll have to now go back to our basics and work efficiently, see how we can cut our fixed cost, reduce our regular expenses. But obviously, in all this thing, one thing is major where we are hurt also, and we have to think also is the manpower front. If any dealership has minimum 80 to 100 manpower, and working with zero revenue for 45, 50 days, it's very difficult for a dealer to pay them. He cannot avoid the interest to be paid because it's already being debited. The rent is there, he can communicate, but salary is one part where if he is at this time he doesn't support his manpower, it will be a problem for him whenever he starts again. So their dealers should work with empathy, and obviously they cannot pay the full salary, but they have to coordinate with team leaders and senior manpower and understand what are their problems, how can they be of help. So I have a lot of dealers coming in like this and giving rations to people, supporting them with advances or whatever support we can do, because we are a very our manpower is very skill centric. So we cannot hire any normal laborer or to work for it. If it is a technician, he has to be trained. Even if it is a washer, he can be a normal laborer, but he has to understand how the vehicles, which place to put what pressure, or else it will backfire to us. So if we leave apart the sweeper or the Puyan part, our 90% manpower is skilled. So that is where we have to work very, very diligently. And so future is like this, and obviously we have to be resilient and efficient in future also.
True, sir. I think you've touched upon some very, very important aspects. And one main takeaway, which, if I may share, is an introspective phase, right? This whole, every crisis actually gives is an opportunity for all of us to introspect and find out, hidden areas which we've probably been overlooking until now. So, and definitely the challenges are plenty. But given the kind of effort, given the kind of, the way the auto industry in our country has actually come out of crisis in the past, we're pretty sure that we will definitely come out flying this time as well. And kudos to yourself and FADA for all the efforts to get the dealer community, keep them afloat, and also voicing their opinion and views to the manufacturers, to the government. And appreciate the efforts from your side, sir. Yeah. Any
Yes,
parting remarks and views from your side to the industry, if you would like to?
so we have discussed all of the things, but see, very frankly, what we want to say is overall that change in business are here to stay, and we have seen crisis happening. So maybe degrowth in sale because of them, maybe over dealerization, which is one of the biggest problem in our industry, or maybe the kind of market share competition created by manufacturers. And we had been resilient and we had come back. We'll surely come back this time also. No doubt this is a bigger problem where we all have to be together and work diligently. But yes, all the dealers, like you said, has to now introspect and see the kind of expansion we have done, the kind of Taj Mahals we have created. Do we need that? Can we think of working purely on digital on the inquiry front and only a showroom where we do the delivery part, or that a small setup? Maybe we increase our footprints, but work at a small place. So we have a 5,000 square foot. Instead of that, have 1,000 square foot at 3 places to be near the. So like in one of the webinars, you have said that Google, we were talking to somebody. So they said, the biggest thing in Google is now become near me. So if you have to select a restaurant, it is near me. If I have to select a kirana shop, it is near me. So can we as a dealership stop thinking of a big setup and think of near me setups where a customer can come, see only two vehicles and understand the rest vehicle on a VR at your location and get delivery? So these are things where the dealership cannot do on their own, but yes, with interaction with their manufacturer. I feel this is the future where we'll have to. So COVID has forced us to think on that. If we do it on our own, it would be easier. So we shouldn't wait for another COVID strike to come up or another pandemic or any other degrowth to think on all that. This is the best time to think and adapt to ourselves and shift to this type of work.
Very well said, sir. Very well said. Those are, I would feel, fitting, parting views, parting remarks. It's time for all of us, especially the dealerships and also the manufacturers, and everybody else in the industry to really look at more efficient ways of doing business and also cutting costs during these times. So thank you so much again, once again, Mr. Gulati, for your time, for sharing some very, very insightful views and your thoughts on the current crisis. And we wish you the very best, and also for the industry to come back stronger from this crisis. Yeah.
Thanks, Mr. Natarajan, for having me. Thanks for it.
Thank you so much.
Okay.